You make yourself get feedback on your creative work, your book, your art, your music, because you know getting feedback will make that piece of work stronger. The problem is getting feedback is hard. You make yourself do it anyway, you put on a brave face, but on the inside, it feels like you're having to white knuckle it to keep calm and composed. If this resonates, stick with me for the next few minutes and I'll walk you through what's happening and what to do instead so you can make sure the critique process gets easier for you going forward. And as a bonus, if you want a copy of the process that I share with my clients to get them started making the critique process easier, drop the word Savor below and I'll DM it to you. My name is Christine Karen. I'm the founder of Good Jelly. And for more than 30 years, I've been helping people get their best work done as fast as possible without sacrificing themselves in the process. Okay, so getting feedback, getting critiqued. Basically, that means we're putting ourselves and our work out there to be seen. And of course, that can be a little scary. The good news is there is a way to make it easier, but it's not how most people think you make it easier. Most people think critiques get easier when you get tougher. Critiques actually get easier when you get more equipped. And let's look at the difference between these two. If we look at this as a bell curve, there are some people who are so stressed out about receiving feedback, they avoid it completely. They're in what I call the red zone. A lot of people are in the yellow zone where it's a struggle and you can often see the struggle. Like you can see it in yourself. You get sweaty or you just get a little shorter with yourself and other people in the group. Then in the green zone, it's what I call soldiering on. And this is a sense of it's still hard on the inside, but you really do have that brave face. And for a lot of people, soldiering on, they think if I could just get there, life would be so much easier. And a lot of people think that's it. There's not an option beyond that. For us, there is. We call it the purple zone, and it's a place of ease where you're actually at ease receiving feedback, no matter what the feedback is. So the question is, what is the difference between avoid, struggle, soldiering on, and actual ease in the critique process? So the first step in receiving feedback is, of course, you do have to take action. That is the building block that everyone is familiar with. For a lot of people, this is the only building block. And actually, for the red, they don't even have that because they are not taking action. They're avoiding it. So what gets you out of the red zone is, of course, taking action, but that still doesn't get you all the way to ease. We know this because most people are not experiencing ease when receiving feedback. So if we work backwards, what is the next building block? The next building block is what I call process. You have to have a way of engaging in the critique process that you can follow, that you can think through versus just tossing yourself in and hoping for the best. That's action. That's the action part. And the process let's start with yellow and green because they do have a process, but think about what every person who has creative work is told how to get a critique and, get through it. We're told to get a thick skin, right? So that's the process that I see most folks in the yellow zone and the green zone are using. This is the process. And again, the difference between yellow and green, is yellow, you can kind of see the stress more on the surface, and green has it just down. They're soldering on. But as a process, that's not very effective. It's more of a directive. I mean, has anyone ever told you actually how to get a thick skin? I haven't heard anyone explain that effectively. So the process we use at Good Jelly, the one that we start with, is what I call the Savor process. Now, this is the one that I promised earlier. If you want it, I'm happy to share it with you. Just drop the word Savor below. But the point of this video is not to walk through the Savor process. It's to show you what gets you to ease. And process is just one of the building blocks, an important one. But you can have many different ways to do processes and many nuances, which actually gets us to the third building block. And the third building block is what I call know-how. And in this case, it's know-how of you. Know-how of you. And know-how of you means getting familiar with what exactly in the critique process really makes you nervous or is challenging for you. In general, we're not invited to do this kind of know-how work and presencing in ourselves. We're just left with, oh, it's hard for me, or it's not. I'm soldiering on. I've gotten a thick skin. But if I'm standing in front of one person with creative work, they may be really nervous about generating something in the moment and sharing it immediately. Another person may be totally fine with getting feedback in that context, but they may feel more nervous getting feedback when they're sharing something that they've worked on for a long time, that their inner sense of this is the best that I can get it, and now if I hear that it's still not good enough, that's going to be hard. That is the kind of context that makes them more nervous. So having a sense of which part and which context of receiving feedback is more challenging for you, then of course allows you to adjust your process, which then allows you to take action in a way that actually creates ease for you. So you may be aware if you're finding yourself stuck in the struggle zone or soldier on zone, you may have a sense of the know-how, but the difference here, everything before here doesn't invite you to apply it. But in the purple zone, you absolutely do use your know-how to change the process to inform your action. And that is what creates ease. And imagine for a moment how different your experience of receiving feedback would be if you had know-how and process supporting the act of getting feedback in the first place. That's the difference between struggling and soldiering on versus actually experiencing ease during the critique process. And that's the difference from trying to make critiques be easier by getting tougher versus actually making critiques easier by getting more equipped. And remember, if you want that bonus free resource, the same process I share with my clients to help them get started making the critique process easier, drop the word Savor below and I'll DM that to you.